I am your host, Johnny, but on this particular topic here, I'm going to talk about my favorite anime and go over which arcs I believe are the worst to the best. I'm going to include Dragon Ball Z. I'm also going to include Dragon Ball Super into this, but sorry, no original Dragon Ball with Kid Goku, no movies unless they have been brought into the story as canon, and no GT. And also, to say this, no Dragon Ball superhero or hero or any of that fan made fiction stuff. It's not canon, not going to count it. One other thing, the latest manga chapter that's actually going on right now in Super with Dr. Hito and basically they're supposed to tie the Cell Max thing into it at some point. I won't be covering that either, and I'm not going to include it here since it's actually still unfolding and, we kind of want that to culminate before I actually include it. I hope that actually clears up what I'm actually going to do with this topic, but without further ado, let's get started and start with talking about what I think every person who has watched Dragon Ball Z and Super knows is the worst arc, and that is the Garlic Jr. arc. Basically, this actually happened in between the Frieza arc or the Namek arc, if you will, the conclusion of that, and before the Android saga kicked off. It happens in between there, and the Garlic Jr. arc was just not good. It was it introduced a dead zone and all that, but who cares? It wasn't that good. Next arc on my list is the Universe 6 versus 7 arc. Now, with that being said, it's not that this arc is bad. It's not Garlic Jr. arc bad. That arc is just bad. The Universe 6 arc is actually pretty cool. I mean, we got to see and get introduced to certain other characters that we like Hit, and we got to see other, Saiyans from that universe and Choppa and stuff like that. Another kind of version of Frieza called Frost. So, the arc wasn't bad. I just don't think it was good enough to be ranked too high. It was a tournament thrown by, of course, Beers, the God of Destruction, and then his, counterpart, Champa, excuse me, almost butchered that, but other fellow God of Destruction and wanted to see whose universe has the strongest fighters. It was okay, but it just wasn't that great. Of course, we also got introduced to Zeno, but this number 11 on the list. It's not a bad arc, but let's go to my number 10 arc here. And this arc, I actually separated. Because I know a lot of people lump the Android saga and the Cell saga into one big conglomerate, right? Me, I separated the two. And the way I did it was you had the Android arc from the minute Trunks came back and sliced up Frieza, into miniature pieces, to all the way until right before Cell was introduced. So let's just say, I'll say the Android saga ended, or the Android arc ended, I should say, right at the culmination of the Piccolo and Android 17. That right there would be the arc's inclusion. And then everything after that was a Cell archive, I'll put. With that being said, the Android arc again is not a bad arc. It actually has some cool fights. Again, we get introduced to future Trunks. We get told that Goku's going to have a heart virus. We get to see Super Saiyan Vegeta, which is, also pretty cool. There was a lot of cool things that happened, but other than that, and again, the best fight in that whole arc was certainly Piccolo versus Android 17. That was great. Oh, of course, yes, we also got to see Android 18 completely wreck Super Saiyan Vegeta. I think that was the first time we actually saw a Super Saiyan get just beat down. We don't count Goku getting beat by that one clown looking android because he was, battling through a heart virus, and him turning Super Saiyan was actually making it worse. So we won't count that. But beat down by Android 18, yeah, that was on Vegeta, that was bad. But the arc, again, not terrible, but just can't put any higher than 10th. Let's go to my number 9 arc. And this arc would be the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc. This is a pretty recent one. It hasn't been animated yet. It really has. The manga was cool. I think the manga was like 25 or 6 chapters long. It introduced a really cool character, I believe, in Moro as a villain, and then we got to see another somebody who came in to actually play a huge role in Mirrors, which ended up being an angel. It was also the first time we got to see Goku back again use his Ultra Instinct form, since he actually used it in the Tournament of Power versus Jiren. And this time I believe the little more mastered. But with that being said, I mean the arc in itself wasn't bad. What made it lackluster though was, so Vegeta obviously went to go get trained on Eurodrad. He got this cool new ability. It looked like he was going to beat Moro, possibly, and then all of a sudden plot armor happens and Vegeta loses, and yet another potential Vegeta win that ends up falling flat on his face. It was, and then Moro transforms and looks almost like a Cell, not really Cell, like perfect Cell with the face. I don't know why they do that, like all the villains get that sleek look. It's kind of weird, but anyway, that happens. And then Goku gets a giant avatar, like a social news type of thing. It was interesting, but yeah, I mean the arc isn't bad. I just think there was a lot that could have been done with it. Like had they just left Moro the way he was in his original design, I think that could have definitely helped. I don't think having, I guess the Mirrors thing I'm fine with, because it kind of helped Goku, really unlock his Ultra Instinct potential as Goku was training with, Mirrors to do that. But yeah, I mean it was an okay arc, but I have it ninth here on my list. Let's go to number 8, and that would be the Majin Buu arc. This arc, I feel, is actually a little underrated. A lot of people really hate on this arc back from Dragon Ball Z, and I do get it, because I mean, there was a lot of moving parts. I mean, there was a lot of good fights. I mean, the most, I guess, one of the best fights in all of Dragon Ball Z is in this arc with Majin Vegeta versus Goku. I mean, that was dope. But yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, we got to see Ultimate Gohan, who should have beat Buu, but got cocky and then got absorbed. And then we saw Buhan, which is the strongest version of Majin Buu. I can't believe people are actually still debating who's stronger, him or Kid Buu, when it's clearly stated that Buhan was strong. Well, we also got to get introduced to Vegito, not to be confused with Gogeta. But we got introduced to him, who is also stronger than Gogeta, which I will make a video about that one day. But not to get sidetracked, the Majin Buu arc, decently well. First time we actually got to see a villain actually blow up and, blow up the earth, kind of get that semi-win, right? When he became Kid Buu and just blew up the earth and then run around blowing up planets. I mean, that was kind of cool. Let's go to my number 7 arc, and I have the Battle of the Gods arc, and this is from Dragon Ball Super. In this arc, I did include the Battle of the Gods movie as well as the Resurrection F movie, since they are both canon movies that play kind of into this arc. So this is when we get introduced to Beerus the God Destroyer and Whis the Angel. We get to see Super Saiyan God, which honestly in the animated show, in the animated version of Dragon Ball Super, it was like, it was hard to attain, God Ki. And then now Super Saiyan God means virtually nothing, which is kind of sad. It means a lot more in the manga than it actually does than what we see in the animated. But I mean, this arc was cool. I mean, again, we got introduced to Beerus. We got to see that fight. And then after that, we got to see Frieza resurrected, which I guess, I mean, I'm, partial to villains staying dead. But, Frieza is one of those pillars of, Dragon Ball. So him getting revived, fine. And then we got to see, of course, how his crazy potential is with just 3 months of training, getting a new form that's on par to Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which is nuts. But Battle of the Gods arc, again, it was good. It has some nice fights in it. I think as far as like the storytelling, I think it was kind of rushed, and it really wasn't laid out completely as it could have been. And so because of that, even though again it was great and it had some pretty cool scenes, some kickback to nostalgia with Frieza, But let's go to my number 6 arc, and this one is the Granola arc. So I know a lot of people right now it's gonna be like, what? You got that over? You got that over Battle of the Gods? You got that over the Universe 6 arc? Yes, I do, for a couple of reasons. Well, really for one reason in particular, Black Frieza. But I do like the fact that we got the storyline was actually kind of cool, right? We got to see how the Saiyans destroying Granola's homeworld. We got to see the Heaters, who played a huge role in this. We got to see why Frieza plays a huge role in this. Right. And then we got to see how Goku's father, how he was able to overcome and beat Gas. And then it kind of helped Goku understand how to better use his UI form to be able to fight against Gas better. Ultimately, though, they were kind of getting defeated by Gas. And then Black Frieza shows up and just one-shots him and then pretty much kills the head of the Heaters, one-shots Goku and Vegeta. Yeah, that was some sick stuff. So for me, that's why I have this arc this high. My number 5 arc in all the Dragon Ball, I have the Saiyan Saga arc. This one starts when basically Raditz shows up and ends when Vegeta ultimately is defeated, and then, Goku basically says, no, don't kill him, let him live, because I want to be able to fight him one day, even though that's a very not smart thing to do. But anyway, I guess it worked out in the end. Hindsight is 2020. But that arc again was pretty good. Raditz showed up significantly stronger than both Goku and Piccolo, and it kind of helped them see that, wow, there's threats out there that are a lot stronger than even us. We got to see how, through Goku's sacrifice, the first time he dies and ultimately leaves his son in the hands of Piccolo, who used to be King Piccolo, or suddenly a rival of Goku, and it started that bond between both Piccolo and Gohan that we even see now to this day. In some respects, Piccolo has been a great, I would say, godfather, if you will, to Gohan. So that was good. And then, of course, obviously with Vegeta and Nappa showing up and pretty much killing all of the other Z fighters who were there at the time. And then Goku showing up, completely wrecking Nappa. Then let's just think how Vegeta just disposes of him as, basically useless once Goku does that. And then, of course, the epic fight between him and Goku is, certainly one of the most iconic fights, not only all of Dragon Ball, but certainly even of anime. So that arc definitely belongs to be in the top 5, and it's a great storytelling arc. There's great fights, really good arc. My number 4 arc that I have is actually from Dragon Ball Super, and that's the Goku Black arc. Yes, I do know it ended quite terrible. It ended with somehow Trunks unlocking some Super Saiyan rage mode to the point to where he was actually able to fight with Fuse Zamasu and actually split him in half. That made Zamasu take over the world basically, or become the universe or whatnot. I get that. I get how, their Wincon was Goku summoning Zeno of that particular universe and then blinking the whole thing out of existence. I get how it can be terrible, but the potential of that arc was great. Up until that arc was great. Seeing Goku, or a version of Goku, as a villain, phenomenal. The storytelling in that was also great. Seeing how in Trunks' timeline, future Trunks' timeline, as we say, his timeline is always getting ravaged and just torn up because there's just not a lot of heroes, or there's not a lot of people who can be there to help. Trunks is the only one there, and he's having to deal with that. We got to see Goku Black. They end up killing Trunks' mom. It was a pretty sad and dark arc, but the storytelling was great. I think that had the ending been done right, this could have been possibly a top 3 arc of all time. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. So that's why I have Goku Black arc at number 4. My number 3 arc that I have is the Cell Saga arc. This arc picks up after the Piccolo Android 17 fight, when then Cell comes in, blasts Piccolo, beats up Android 17, and then absorbs him. That's why it picks up, and then of course it's all the way when Gohan, along with his father's help, Ultra Super Kamehameha wave and kills Cell. This arc is one of my favorites. I've rewatched it several times. There are a lot of things that happened in this, from showing Vegeta's ego and allowing Cell to absorb or go find Android 18 and absorb her to become Perfect Cell, to the conflict between Vegeta and Trunks just like, no, we're not allowing this to happen, and showing that he's actually stronger than his father, to Gohan and Goku training and us looking at Goku like he was a fool by handing Cell a Senzu bean, and then Gohan ultimately having to step up and eventually unlocking Super Saiyan 2, and then just completely wiping the floor with all the Cell Juniors, and even Cell made the man throw up Android 18. I mean, the arc was great. I mean, it was a great arc. There was really good storytelling, and the culmination of Gohan being the ultimate victor was pretty cool. I think I remember reading somewhere that the writers wanted Gohan to actually be the main catalyst after this, but for some reason they just scrapped it and just said, oh no, we need Goku, and I guess they weren't wrong about that. But yeah, that Cell arc definitely belongs to be this high. It's a top 3 arc in Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z. Heck, even if you put GT and all the other ones, I say it belongs to be this high on the list. Let's go to my number 2 arc, and this arc, ladies and gentlemen, it broke the internet when it happened, so it clearly deserves to be as high. Plus, there was a lot of good storytelling and fights in it, and that is the Tournament of Power. In this, I did actually include, cause I know the Brawly movie came out, and I'm going to include the Brawly timeline in this too, maybe more so towards the end, because I just remember at the beginning of the Brawly movie, Goku and Vegeta were training, and just saying that he wasn't able to access Ultra Instinct since the Tournament of Power. So I'm going to put it at the end, and I'm going to say the end of the Tournament of Power arc was after they defeated Brawly. But I love the fights in this arc were some of the best fights, I think, in all of Super and even all of Z. That whole tournament, we got to see basically 2 Gods of Destruction from the same universe in Toppo and Jiren. And honestly, if it wasn't for the you can't kill your opponent thing in the tournament without being disqualified, I don't think even Goku, even with UI or Ultra Instinct, for people who don't know what UI is would have actually beat Jiren. And it was a just plot armorous thing to beat him, but I get it because they had actually painted Jiren so strong. Now, the one element of this that I know is a drawback for some is the fact that the power scaling in this went crazy. I'm talking about to the point to where Krillin was able to swap hands with Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Now, you can say Goku was holding back, and that may be the case, but man, that part right there was kind of nuts. But short of that, I love the fights. The storyline after, Zeno came back after the original tournament, the Gods of Destruction throwing Zeno wanted this one, and then any universe that didn't win got wiped out. I think that was a pretty cool concept. So that's why I have that's why I have this high. I've gone back and rewatched the Tournament of Power several times. It came out almost 10 years ago, which is crazy if you think about it, that it's been that long since the Tournament of Power actually was, the last episode of it was aired, and we've gone this long without an actual animation. But yeah, Tournament of Power, really great. If you have not seen it, go watch it. Trust me, it doesn't disappoint. And then the number 1 arc, which, I mean, come on, everybody know what it is, and that's the Namek Saga arc. I mean, it was our first time getting introduced to basically somebody who felt like a main villain. In Frieza, we got to see Super Saiyan for the first time. We got to see even Vegeta's humanity kind of kick in when he's pleading for Goku to avenge them because Frieza was the one who wiped out all the Saiyans and all that. I mean, the entire arc was great. We got to see Gohan's potential in the arc kind of kick in and come out as he gets, raised and ramped up, and he actually was able to get the best lick in on Frieza. We got to see Goku show up and annihilate the Ginyu Force. I mean, yeah, man, that whole arc was great. I'm sure everybody listening who either likes Dragon Ball or just anime in general has gone back and rewatched that Namek arc several times. That arc is what led me to even liking anime and Dragon Ball. I mean, it was like the first arc I remember I watched on Toonami. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Well written, great fights. I mean, it's the pinnacle. It's the Picasso of all arcs in Dragon Ball. So Yeah, that's my list. But all right, ladies and gents, going to go ahead and get out of here for today. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's show. Again, if you're enjoying the content you're listening to here on those different podcasting platforms and on YouTube, give me a like, subscribe, follow, comment. I'll greatly, greatly appreciate that. But until next time, peace.